that our Lord had something to do with forming this great country that we live in, and directing and giving wisdom to our founding fathers when he wrote the Constitution. Yes, we got faults, but they're trying, as we've been talking in the last few minutes, talking about the things that are always going wrong, and that's why we've got listeners. We've got to join together. We've got to get the right people in there, and all it's simple. We just need people with good common sense that believe in the Lord, and we'll be okay. But it's going to take us to doing something now. We can't wait. We're right at the point of no return. If we don't do something this next election towards achieving that goal, I believe we're lost.
God always provides us an option.
Yes.
And God provided this world an option through the creation of America to show what freedom is compared to countries that lack that. And this country chose to go with a God-driven message that we can live free and we can live together and we can live in harmony. But what has happened is that people who do not live in countries like that are being allowed into this country and taking over our system rather than joining our system. And that's the problem, is that they're choosing against what our Judeo-Christian values are, which is God-like, and choosing the world, which is not. That's my opinion.
See, that's something I don't get, is people come over here, they're escaping, like Mexico. They want out of there, the cartels, but when they get here, then they want it to be just like it is there. And I don't understand that. If you're leaving a country because of oppression and things like that, why do you want to create the same atmosphere when you get where you're going? It doesn't make sense.
Well, because it's familiarity.
Yeah.
They want what's comfortable. They want the part of it they liked, which would be the culture they bring over here and foster. So they want the comfort of it. They want the familiarity of it. So they get together, as Roland said earlier, in their own little cliques, and they don't get out of those little cliques, and then they go back to the same habits they had where they came from. That's it in a nutshell.
Yes, I understand that. I just have a really hard time not. I love culture. I love going to different culture places, but I don't understand. I still don't. Why you would want to change? Like if you escaped in the United States to become a Mexican citizen, do you know what they go through?
Yeah.
Get much more than to come here. And so why would you want to do that? I would rather assimilate, know each other, learn from each other, instead of saying, okay, it's mine, and I'll let you go.
Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, you will have heard the Constitutional Moment with Susan Snelling of CollegiumBibleInstitute.com, where individuals are being reintroduced to their God and their country. Okay, that's playing. Are you guys...
Hi, this is Susan Snelling with your Constitutional Moment. John Locke was an enormous philosophical influence on the Founding Fathers, including Thomas Jefferson in his drafting of the Declaration of Independence. Locke's philosophy was derived from the Bible, which some historians agree is the primary influence on the Founding Fathers and the principles the Republic is based on. Revisionists of history like to ignore this point and call Locke an empiricist. Locke's own words are in direct contrast to what the revisionists would like us to believe. It is evident from Locke's writings that he was a man who believed in God and in the absoluteness of truth. To take something else out of his writings is to purposefully manipulate his own words. One of the beliefs of Locke that the Founding Fathers embraced was that law was to protect and increase freedom, not diminish it. Locke wrote, "The end of law is not to abolish or restrain, but to preserve and enlarge freedom. For in all the states of created beings capable of law, where there is no law, there is no freedom." The progressives and liberals think that the government can ensure our happiness through its expansion and largesse, furthering its intrusion into our lives and control over us, diminishing our freedom. One of those intrusions is in the area of property. Property is important to a free people and is one of those inalienable rights. Locke says about property, "Everyone has property in his own person. This nobody has any right to but himself. The labor of his body and the work of his hands, we may say, are properly his. Property is not only what we own but what we do, what we generate." Locke believed that a purpose of government was the preservation of property. He says, "Government has no other end but the preservation of property. Whenever the legislators endeavor to take away and destroy the property of the people, or to reduce them to slavery under arbitrary power, they put themselves into a state of war with the people, who are thereupon absolved from any further obedience." A government that abuses its constitutional authority depends on the ignorance of the American people. They want a people ill-informed as to the beliefs of the Founding Fathers and the intent of the framers of the Constitution. The educational system we have today does not seek to promote critical thinkers, which is important for a representative republic. Look out for catchphrases and word manipulations in the media that become accepted truth after a while. The purveyors of language, the academic and media elite, those who would exchange the truth for a lie, would have you come to terms with their superior intellect and their take on the Constitution. They want us to believe that the Constitution in many ways is antiquated and subject to change from its original intent. Locke's statement that the end of law was to enlarge freedom is the foundation of America's primary purpose, which is to reconcile liberty with law. Our representative republic does that, but there are those who seek to undermine the very premise which the Founding Fathers fought for, that underlying grand plan for a country that ensured us the freedom to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We need to know who we are as a people and what our rights are under the Constitution as given to us by our Creator in order to preserve that which the Founding Fathers fought so hard to give us. And this is your constitutional moment.
Okay, we are back, and we thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoyed that constitutional moment. Now, we want to tell you about our network shows. Sunday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. Join John, George, and Mark for Patriots on Wheels. POW! Monday evening, join the Sisters for Freedom, 7 to 9 p.m. with Glow and Adrienne. Tuesday evenings, join Liberty to Go with Don and Brandon at 7 to 9 p.m. And then Wednesday nights from 7 to 9 p.m. Eastern, you can listen to John Matthews with the Conservative Syndicate. I got that out right. Okay, well, welcome back to Right Opinions on Spreaker. We have Roland, Mary, Mona, Teresa, and I'm Marcia. And now our topic for this part is We Hear You. So we want to talk about some of the things that we have heard people discussing, and this can run the gamut of anything. So we're going to start off with Teresa. You can go first.
Okay. Well, two things mainly. Of course, the ISIS hit list that came out, with the names of different servicemen and their families that in the United States that they are saying they want people to target and kill. And the last thing I read today was, I believe it was in Texas, they were beefing up police security in the areas where these folks live. And the other one is, we hear everybody is talking about the presidential election and who they want their candidate to be. And my prayer is that our next president, her name isn't even out there yet. She has yet to be announced. And I want to stress to people, concentrate on what is going on. Nobody's paying attention to the Senate anymore. We have a lot of seats that are going to be coming up for election. Get involved, people, and post signs and make calls and worry about the representatives that you have in your state. And let's wait until we even know who the candidates for president are going to be. And I think Roland will probably talk a little bit more about that. He's the expert on the grassroots and what we ought to be doing.
Expert.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But anyway, that's what I've been hearing mostly. People are just so focused on presidency and who they want. And I'm saying, stop. Let's look at the Senate and the Congress and protect what we've gained.
Amen.
Roland, what do you think?
I think Teresa is spot on in what she's saying, and I want to spend some time on this, and hopefully, listeners, you'll agree with me. One of the first person was Cruz that announced that he was going of any consequences, he was going to run for president. And the first thing I read was, from one of our members, I will never vote for Cruz. Well, I tell you what, in our groups, which we have over 110,000 members, and as being on an executive, anybody that starts complaining and talking about presidents in a negative way, the candidates, we don't need you. We don't want you. We got to be positive. Let's wait and listen to these people, see what they have to say. Like Teresa said, we don't even know who's going to be running. And Reagan had an 11th commandment, and if it was good enough for Reagan, it surely ought to be good enough for we conservatives. And that was, we don't talk ill about a fellow Republican. And when I say Republican, let's face it, we're a two-party system in America. It was 161 years ago in 1854 that the Whigs were knocked out and the Republican Party was made. We've got to change the Republican Party. By changing it, we're going to have to get good, conservative, God-fearing, common-sense people elected. And in order to do that, we got to study, we got to listen, and as Teresa said, we got a major thing coming up. All there in our Senate, we got 34 empty seats, and out of those 34 empty seats, 24 of them are Republicans that are having to run again. So what are we going to do about it? We're going to have to make sure that we get the right person in. And the time to really work hard and learn something is in our primaries. One of the things that just disturbs the heck out of me is that in our midterm election, in the primaries, the highest amount of people that went and voted in the primaries was 17%. Now, that's just not, we got to start taking this thing serious, or else our country's going to go down the toilet. But we have so much that we must do,